Alrighty, we are back talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. Now I know that was definitely something you guys did not expect to see on this channel, but today we have an exciting news video regarding the Nintendo Switch 2. We have some crazy stories regarding GameStop. We have crazy news revealing things about such as a Nintendo Switch 2 cartridge and other unexpected stories. Now before we jump into this, I have to ask guys, please, if you have not already, subscribe to the channel as we have been uploading every single day. We've been doing Switch 2 videos, news videos, discussion, speculation. We've done all of it. And we're going to continue doing it as we head into the month of May. Not to mention, we're going to New York City for the Nintendo Switch 2 launch, and I plan on filming and vlogging every single day on the trip there, the whole experience of waiting in line. It's going to be an absolute fun time because we're trying to hit 17,000 subscribers before we head to that trip, which we're close. We're about 400 away. Can we do it? I don't know. But without further ado, let's jump right into the news. Okay, let's start with one of the coolest things that for some reason all of us are freaking out over, which in reality, this honestly isn't the biggest of deals. I guess to us Nintendo fans, the littlest thing is the biggest thing to us. We finally know what a Nintendo Switch 2 game cartridge is going to look like. We have seen blank cartridges to where it's just the red cartridge with just nothing on it. But now we have a good idea of what to expect. And what is it that we're expecting? The exact same thing that we've got with Switch 1 cartridges. The game logo. We saw Cyberpunk's cartridge get officially revealed here. In fact, there was actually a little bit more updates regarding Cyberpunk, how CD Projekt Red talked about how making this game for Nintendo Switch 2 was one of the most difficult things they've ever done, but they're so happy to have it out with a physical cartridge into it where all of the game is in that cartridge. Now, I think it's really cool that we've seen stuff like this. I'm excited to see what else comes from the Nintendo Switch 2, because I feel like if we're seeing something like Cyberpunk within the first year of the system, I guess literally the first day of the system, I think this system has the capabilities of doing very unexpected things, and it's exciting to see CD Projekt Red talk about this. I'm interested also to see if maybe they'll do like a Witcher 3 Nintendo Switch 2 edition version of the game now that they're more familiar with the Switch 2. Obviously, Witcher 3 is one of their most iconic games out there, not to mention the Switch 1 version was considered to be something impossible. Now, I'm sure with CD Projekt Red doing what they did with Cyberpunk, they might want to bring over Witcher 3 and do a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of the game. The question is it going to be a free update for those that already bought the game? Or is it going to be an upgrade path? Or are you going to have to buy the whole game again? It's going to be very interesting to see what CD Projekt Red does. I definitely expect to see Witcher 3 on here, but without further ado, I am definitely very excited to be picking up Cyberpunk 2077 on Nintendo Switch 2. I would say this is my most anticipated third-party game to play on the system, but at least we know what the cartridge looks like, which I gotta say that red and yellow combination does look really nice. I highly doubt that any other cartridges out there are gonna look this nice compared to this red and yellow combo. It looks amazing. Okay, let's talk about the Radu game. Now, listen, Shin Megami Tensei, anytime it is spoken into my life, I immediately fall asleep. I don't know how I am standing on the ground right here talking about this game, but this is a spin-off of the SMT series, which kind of confusing because Persona is a spin-off of SMT. There's like 5 spin-offs of SMT. Am I correct about this? I don't keep up with it. To me, when I play this game, I think of Benadryl. That's exactly what Shin Megami Tensei is to me. Benadryl. So, without further ado, we got some news regarding the Radu Switch 2 version of the game. And I think a lot of this that we're about to talk about, if you were ever excited for this game for some reason, is going to disappoint you and definitely holds a negative impact on future games coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. But we have news regarding its resolution, frame rate, and all that for the Switch 2 and the Switch 1 edition of the game, because this is a cross-gen title. Let's talk about the frame rates for the Nintendo Switch 1 edition of the game. It is going to be jumping from 30 to 60 frames per second in TV and handheld mode. So there is not a locked frame rate there, which is interesting. I'm curious to see why there's not a locked frame rate and why they were able to make it 60 at times and then go back to 30. Kind of weird, and I feel like that could be a little confusing to play at times, but I don't know. It's SMT. I guess no one's really going to notice it since they'll be falling asleep as they play the game. But at the end of the day, the Switch 1 version is going to have that. Handheld mode is going to be 720p, and obviously when you put it in docked mode, it will be 1080. Now, the Nintendo Switch 2 version of the game will be at a locked 60 frames per second and 1080p in both handheld and docked mode. There is no mouse functionality to this game, which I guess makes sense. There's really nothing else special about the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of the game, other than the fact that it is going to be at 60 FPS. Now, let's talk about the disappointing thing about this. Well, obviously the disappointing thing about this is that this game exists, but the true disappointing thing is if you buy the Nintendo Switch 1 edition of the game, there is actually no upgrade path for this game if you wanted to play it on Switch 2. You are stuck with the Switch 1 version if you're playing it on Switch 2. Now, the reason why I bring this up is I know a lot of you guys are probably wanting to buy the Switch 1 edition that is as a full physical game, where it's all on cartridge, where the Switch 2 edition of the game is a game keycard. Now, I think this is very disappointing to see that there's not the way to get the Switch 2 edition if you buy the Switch 1 edition, because there's going to be a lot of people that are buying it just from the physical side of things. But yeah, there's going to be no way. There's not even an upgrade path. I noticed this was something that Sega was doing with Sonic Shadow Generations. Yeah, I think some people are going to fall for this and double dip potentially, which is crazy. I don't know why they're doing this. You can't even load a previous save file from the Switch 1 version over to Switch 2. This really doesn't make sense to me. You should be able to put the Switch 1 cartridge into the Switch 2 and be able to get the Switch 2 version. But for whatever reason, this is not a possibility. This is really disappointing, and it really seems like this is going to be the normal thing that third-party developers are doing for the Nintendo Switch 2. Alright, so I wanted to update a story that we talked about in the last video, but we didn't really have enough information to talk enough about it. Now we have a lot regarding this. Now, this comes from E. You guys might know him from a lot of things. He's done a lot of work. You'll see him on a lot of YouTube channels, but he was tweeting out his experience of trying to pre-order the system, known as the Nintendo Switch 2 obviously, at GameStop. Obviously he was waiting outside, and a lot of people was at his GameStop trying to pre-order the system, as most places had a lot of people. This GameStop was forcing customers to pre-order big bundles of things for the Nintendo Switch 2 at this store. They were saying that the SKUs were not separated, so you were having to do a big bundle and pre-order a lot of unnecessary things that you did not ask for. So, for example, he only cared about getting Donkey Kong Bonanza and a screen protector, for example. However, that was just not the case, and people were actually leaving this GameStop very upset because they were having to spend a lot of unnecessary money that they shouldn't have had to spend in the first place, because by the time you did one of these bundles, you were probably going to spend almost $900 over here at GameStop, and they were forcing you to do more things than just the system itself. In fact, he even posted some footage of how it was of him trying to pre-order the system and games. And as you can see from the footage, he already had as much as he wanted, but GameStop was forcing him having to get like 2 more items, for example. Just check out the footage.
Well, so the bundles we're looking at, I don't know if you've heard them before, but these can be interchanged with any other item. You know, it doesn't explicitly have to be anything on this list.
So what's the minimum you have to, is it a price you have to hit, or is
It's
it?
item quantity.
Okay.
2 more.
2 more? Okay, so, I mean, it's all kind of the same, right? So.
And if you want, you can just get the warranties on the remaining items, and that counts.
I don't need the warranty. Just being real. Just, you know, I get it.
You're a real one, I get it.
Yeah.
Joy-Con charging grip.
Is this like at every GameStop that they're doing this, or is it just a specific
I
one?
don't really speak for this one, but
Sure.
there was a lady in here who was really upset
Yeah, she
about
came
how
out.
we were
She was
doing
yelling,
things.
yeah.
And there was a guy in here who informed us that there were many complaints online about all the GameStop doing some stuff.
Okay, so.
I'm pretty sure it's an all-around GameStop.
Okay, interesting.
Honestly, I actually don't know why she was shocked because GameStop was coming through.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it's not.
They
I'm
did
not.
it for the PS5.
I'm not surprised, but at the same time, you know.
It's up.
Yeah, it's what it is.
That's why I'm not sure if other stores are doing what we're doing here.
I have a friend in Philly, and he was like, "I just bought the game,
Really?
the console." So that's why I was like, "I don't know."
Man, New York sure is built different.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was absolutely crazy seeing that. And honestly, I guess it's not too surprising. You've obviously heard stories about GameStop management forcing their employees to do crazy things to get numbers up, and it's really not on them, it's GameStop's management. However, this definitely had a lot of people unhappy, and I'm very surprised that they even attempted this, because this is a big pre-order thing that was going on. This was obviously going to get spread around. And when E posted this on Twitter, it kind of blew up. Everyone was covering it, and it became such a big topic that GameStop themselves have responded to the situation, which is very interesting to see, because I don't think I have ever seen GameStop reply to a situation like this before. They've typically ignored this stuff all the time, at least from a public matter. The GameStop Help Twitter account actually replied to the post saying that they are actively investigating the situation, and to anyone that was affected by this, to reach out to them. I'm not really sure what GameStop has planned for the customers that was involved with this and how they're gonna prove that the customers were involved with this, but I'm definitely interested to see what they're gonna do for this customer, because what if, you know, right now Switch 2 pre-orders are sold out, are they somehow gonna give them a Switch 2 pre-order? I don't know. I hope any customer that was affected by this and couldn't pre-order the system because of having to do this stupid GameStop thing, because people were leaving GameStop after waiting in line for so long because they just couldn't do a giant bundle pre-order like that. As you know, most people probably couldn't, because the system was already pretty expensive for a lot of people, and to do basically double the price, that was definitely going to have a lot of frustrating people. And like I said, this became a pretty big story as everyone was covering it. So GameStop actually replied to some of the news articles going out, because they gave an official statement regarding this. GameStop had said that this is not a GameStop policy, as this was something that the employee was pushing heavily, it sounds like, in the video. They said that GameStop overall had a very positive customer experience. So I guess they're speaking from other stores rather than this store. Now, I definitely want to hear from you guys. Did this happen at your GameStop? Did you have any type of crazy event happening at your GameStop? Was there pre-orders being forced onto you? I know obviously the warranty was definitely tried to be forced upon you, but other than warranties, was there anything that they were like, hey, pre-order this, that, oh, you can't pre-order the system without these 5 things? Because this seems to be what happened here. Definitely want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments down below on this, as this is a very interesting thing to see happen. And at the same time, I'm not surprised. I hear about crazy GameStop stories, but this is definitely one that broke the internet. And I'm glad to see GameStop comment on it, and it seems like they're trying to do something, which is something they definitely normally don't. And lastly, I think this one's a super exciting one. One of the launch titles for the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be Fast Fusion. Now, Fast Fusion is going to be a brand new game into the Fast series. And no, I'm not talking about Fast and the Furious. Don't talk about those movies. Those movies, too many out there. But this is going to be coming out on launch day, and the price has been revealed to be $15, which I'm pretty sure is the exact same price as when Fast RMX came out for Switch 1. Now, the reason why this is really cool is this is the first time we're getting a brand new Fast game since the Wii U. Now, you're probably going to be like, Max, didn't you just say Fast RMX was on Switch 1? Yes, it was actually like an updated remaster version of Fast Racing Neo, I think is what it was called on Wii U. There was a Fast Racing game on Wii U, and that was what they brought over to the Switch on launch day, because that game came out so late in the Wii U cycle that this was like an updated version of the game with a little bit extra content. But what this game is definitely heavily inspired by F-Zero. This is probably going to be the closest thing that you'll get to a real official F-Zero game, other than being a new F-Zero game. Maybe one of these days you'll get one of those, with F-Zero 99 being super popular right now. I don't know, but I'm definitely pumped for this. It is, as of right now, a digital only game, but I do know that Super Rare Games did a physical copy of Fast RMX back in what, like 2018? So maybe one of these limited run companies will pick up the game and make it a physical copy. Obviously with game key cards right now, there's a lot of uncertainty of the future of physical games for Switch 2 right now. But I for sure am picking up this game on day one. I think this is going to be a great game to play. I had a lot of fun playing Fast RMX when it came out on Switch 1. It was actually the first game I ever bought digitally on the Switch, so I'm pumped to be able to do the same thing for Switch 2. My first digital game on there will definitely be Fast RMX. Guys, that's everything I have for you. Let me know what you guys have to say about what we talked about today, as there was a lot of interesting stories, a lot of good, a lot of random, a lot of bad, and a lot of unexpected. Definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, without further ado, make sure to backslash that subscribe button, like the video, check out the Twitter, check out the Discord server, check out the Instagram. I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh wait, Monado Marine membership, $5 a month, helps out the channel tremendously. We really messed this up, but that's okay. I will see you guys in the next video. By the time this comes out, I'll be streaming later tonight. If y'all want to come through the stream, that'd be pretty cool. It'll probably be around 9 p.m. EST, 10 p.m., somewhere around there. I'll see you there. Okay, I'm done. Bye. Peace. Peace. I'm done. I'm done.